What the hell's going on, YouTubers? This is Periodik, and today we're going to be going over Warrior PVE talents. This is going to be for Fury spec. I'm rocking the two-handers, and this is going to be preparing you for Warlords of Draenor. And I'm also going to talk about the level 100 talent. So we're going to dive right in, and the ones that I have picked aren't necessarily the best ones. It really is situational, the talents nowadays, and so I'll go over that when I talk about each talent. Now at level 15 you have 3 choices for your charge ability. Juggernaut allows you to charge every 12 seconds instead of 20 seconds. Double time, you can use it twice in a row. It only grants rage once every 12 seconds, and it has a 20-second recharge time. And Warbringer just causes it to stun the target for 1.5 seconds instead of just rooting it. So Warbringer obviously is your PvP choice. You can even go other routes, but that stun is really nice. The only thing is it's every 20 seconds. So that's PvP. It's really a choice between these two, Double Time and Juggernaut. I like having it every 12 seconds, dependable. Double Time is more of a situational thing. So I'd like having it every 12 seconds, so I go with Juggernaut. Now level 30, you have 3 choices for your survivability. So first one is Enraged Regeneration. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. It instantly heals you for 10% of your maximum health and an additional 20 seconds over 5 seconds. It's usable even while being stunned. Then you have Second Wind, which used to be God tier talent. It's whenever you are below 35% health, you gain 10%. Now it used to be it would heal you back up to 35%. Now it's whenever you're below 35% health, you gain 10% leech, healing yourself for a percentage of damage you deal, meaning you gain 10% lifesteal pretty much. So when you hit the amount of your damage, 10% of that is going to heal you. And then the last one is Impending Victory. It replaces your victory rush. It instantly attacks the target, causing some damage, healing you for 15% of your maximum health. If you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor, resets the cooldown of Impending Victory, and that's on a 30-second cooldown. Not really that great. We're going to go to Enraged Regeneration. Second Wind really got nerfed pretty hard. It used to be an automatic where you didn't have to do anything and it would just start healing you back up to 35%. For soloing all kinds of encounters, it was amazing. It was just insane. It was super overpowered. Now it has to be you're attacking. So your attacks are what give you that 10% leech. And it boost you back up to 35%. But the only problem is if you're stunned and you're not able to attack, guess what? Second Wind does pretty much nothing. So what we have to do here is Enraged Regeneration. You can use it every minute. You can use it even while you're stunned, and it gives you a fair amount of HP back, so that's pretty good. Level 45, we have 3 choices. Furious Strikes. Wild Strike costs 25 less rage, and Wild Strike is typically 45 rage, if I remember correctly. I'm looking at the wrong one. Wild Strike, here we go, 45 rage. Sudden Death. Your auto attack hits have a 10% chance to make your next execute cost no initial rage and be usable on any target, regardless of health level. Now remember that execute has to be used on enemies that are less than 20% health, so this makes it available at any time, and any one of your auto attacks have a 10% chance. And it also costs no rage because execute has a 30 rage cost. Unquenchable Thirst. Bloodthirst no longer has a cooldown. Now Bloodthirst has a 3.74 cooldown. This is pretty cool, having no cooldown in Bloodthirst. You could just spam it and get a bunch of rage. Furious Strikes is pretty good. You know, Wild Strike costs 25 less rage. That's pretty good, making it 20 rage. That's not bad. But what really is OP right now is Sudden Death. Your execute already is probably your second most damaging ability next to your auto attacks, so having it proc off of your auto attacks and cost no rage, it's incredible. That's really the best of the best. Level 60, we have 3 choices as like a marquee move, a special move here. You have Storm Bolt on a 22.9 second cooldown. Hurls your weapon at an enemy, causes physical damage, and stuns for 4 seconds. Deals quadruple damage to targets permanently immune to stun. That's extremely important. Deals quadruple damage to targets permanently immune to stuns. Shockwave. Sends a force in a frontal cone, causing X amount of damage and stunning all enemies within 10 yards for 4 seconds. Cooldown reduced by 20 seconds if it strikes at least 3 targets. That's on a 30.5 second cooldown. And then Dragon Roar. That's on a 45.8 second cooldown. Roar explosively, dealing X amount of damage to all enemies within 8 yards and knocking them back and down for half a second. Damage ignores all armor and is always a critical strike. Okay, so all three of these are extremely situational. Extremely situational. Stormbolt is by far the best choice if you're just going on a boss. One boss, one person in front of you, because all bosses are permanently immune to stun. That means that this is always going to hit for quadruple the damage. And it's on a 22.9 second cooldown, so it's really good to add into your rotation. So that's by far the best choice for one boss. Now if you're looking at multiple adds or multiple bosses, then it gets a little bit trickier. Dragon Roar is definitely the easy one, the easy choice. It's on a 45.8 second cooldown. You don't have to aim because it hits everybody around you, and it ignores all armor, and it's always critical strike. That's really cool. Now Shockwave is interesting because it's on a 30.5 second cooldown. It's a frontal cone ability, so you have to make sure that they're in front of you, and if it hits 3 or more, it drops down to 10 seconds. So theoretically, if you have a bunch of bosses that have pretty good amount of health, you can always have a 10-second wave shockwave. And so I kind of like that. I don't mind running around and making sure that I'm able to hit it. So I like shockwave myself, but I've used Dragon Roar in the past, and I've used Stormbolt. So this is really a toss-up. These two are definitely for adds. This is definitely for a main boss. This is always the better choice in regards if it's just one person, one boss that you're fighting. The third option, or the three options here for level 75 are defensive abilities. Mass Spell Reflection, 30-second cooldown, reflects the next spell cast on you and all party members and raid members within 20 yards for 5 seconds. That's pretty cool. Safeguard, 30-second cooldown, run at a high speed towards a party or raid member, intercepting the next melee or range attack made against them, reducing damage taken by them for 20 seconds, by 20% for 6 seconds. And the last one is Vigilance, 2-minute cooldown, protects a party or raid member for 12 seconds, reducing damage they take by 30% and allowing you to use taunt with no cooldown. Now, the best choice is Vigilance if you're going to be doing raid, groups, dungeons, anything like that, because it's on a 2-minute cooldown, and it pretty much, you pick somebody and they take 30% less damage for 12 seconds. You don't have to use taunt. I don't even have, I do have taunt on my bar, but if I didn't have, I don't even need taunt on my bar, okay? Safeguard is not that great. You're not a tank, so you're going to get obliterated if you take somebody's hate for them. So that's not really a smart move. And I have Mass Spell Reflection right now just to, screw around, not that important. But Vigilance is definitely your best bet. At level 90, so currently right now, level 90, Warlords of Draenor has not come out yet. Avatar, 2.29 minute cooldown, transform into a Colossus for 24 seconds, dealing 20% increased damage and removing all roots and snares. Bloodbath is your second choice, 45.8 second cooldown, so for the next 12 seconds your melee damage abilities and their multi-strikes deal 30% additional damage as a bleed over 6 seconds. While bleeding, targets move for 50% slower. And then obviously we have Wreck Storm here, Blade Storm, Spam Storm, whatever you want to call it. 45.8 second cooldown, become an unstoppable storm of destructive force, striking all targets within 8 yards for X amount of physical damage with your main hand and X amount of physical damage with your offhand every 1 second for 6 seconds. You're immune to movement impairing and loss of control effects, but can only taunt and use other defensive abilities. So the best ability here by far is Bloodbath. Bloodbath is just so dependable. It's only on a 45.8 second cooldown. It is 12 seconds of uptime. The bleed happens for 6 seconds. It's 30% additional damage, which is quite a bit. Even Avatar is only 20% damage, and it's on a 2.29 cooldown. Now that is for 24 seconds, so that's really good. That's pretty much a 2-minute cooldown because your ability lasts for 24 seconds. So every 2 minutes you have 24 seconds of 20% increased damage. That's cool, but every 45 seconds you're dealing 30% additional damage as a bleed, and that's really good. Blade Storm is cool. You can add it in as a rotation, but the thing that I don't like about Blade Storm is that for 6 seconds you're only doing Blade Storm. You can't do any other offensive abilities, and that kind of sucks because there's sometimes your execute will proc or something like that, and you can't do it because you're stuck in Blade Storm. So that's not a great use of your abilities or your rotation. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Level 100, we got 3 of the new choices. We got Anger Management. Every 30 rage that you spend reduces the remaining cooldown of several of your abilities by 1 second. That includes Avatar, Bloodbath, Blade Storm, Stormbolt, Shockwave, Dragon Roar, Mocking Banner, Heroic Leap, Recklessness, and Die by the Sword. Second one, Ravager. It's got a 40-yard range, it's a 1-minute cooldown, and it throws a whirling axe at the target location that inflicts 1,061 damage to enemies within 6 yards every 1 second. That lasts 10 seconds. And the last one is Siegebreaker. 45-second cooldown. Uses your full strength to slam the target with both weapons, dealing 6,424 damage and knocking them back and down for 1 second. So this is pretty much a toss-up. I haven't played around with anger management enough, nor have I done that much research on it, but it seems like it's not that great from what I've seen. I could be completely wrong about this. Like I said, I haven't played around with it enough, but I wish it included a few more abilities that it lowered the cooldown of offense wise, because it's really only a choice of, you know, your level 90 talent and your level 60 talent, and that's about it. Ravager is very good for a movement-based fight. If you have to be running around, or if you have to jump onto a side boss, you know, an ad that comes in, you can keep on damaging the main boss for 10 seconds. You just throw Ravager on the spot where you want to attack him, and boom, he's going to do about 7,000 damage, you know, plus all of your stats for 10 seconds. So that's pretty cool. And then Siegebreaker is probably your best choice. It's on a 45-second cooldown. It does a ton of damage up front, and it's not going to knock them back because obviously they're immune, but if they're a boss, but it does a ton of damage. So that's probably the choice I would go with. And there you go. That is the talents. Again, they're completely situational, like I said. The best thing about the World of Warcraft talents nowadays, how they did this 3-tier system here, or 3 options every single tier, is that it really is situational. It's not, oh, I definitely have to take this talent because it boosts up my X ability by 5%. Those are boring. Those are stupid. These are really cool abilities. So like I said, there's multiple choices for each one. It really is what your playstyle is. If you want to use Dragon Roar, if you want to use Stormbolt, if you want to use Shockwave, if you want to go with Avatar and become a monster for 24 seconds, you can do that. It's really up to you. But thanks for watching this video. Make sure you give me a subscribe, a like, and comment if you think anger management is actually better than what I think it is, or if you're having a lot of fun with you know, Safeguarder, things of that nature. As I'm making this video, in 2 days, Warlords of Draenor is going to come up, so make sure you prepare yourself by checking out these videos and the other ones that I'm going to be coming out with. So once again, thank you for watching. This is Periodik saying see ya.